and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel in the first place. Today we have a Denki X listener. If you're in the live chat, be respectful, and let's go ahead and get into it. I've just finished unpacking, so I'm not sure if everything is staying where it is currently. You hesitated at your door, hand on the knob as the majority of your class stood behind you, and, well, you opened the door for everyone to walk inside, letting them pass by you as you stood in the doorway, trying to read everyone's reactions. "It's adorable," Mina assured you, sending you a smile before peeking into your closet. Everyone seemed to have a similar reaction, but you knew you weren't winning the competition with your average decorating skills. "Yeah, not bad," Kirishima smiled at you, slamming his hand down on your shoulder. "Denki, did you get to see?" he questioned, looking past you and into the hall. Confused, you glanced over your shoulder and saw that Kaminari was still standing in the hallway. The blonde sent the two of you a sheepish smile. "It's crowded. I'll get a better look when everyone clears out a bit." Kirishima's smile widened as he moved past you and whispered something into the blonde's ear, causing him to start blushing out denials. Kirishima moving to trap him in a headlock. "Yeah, or you can always get a look later. It's not a big deal," you assured him, turning back to try and corral your classmates out of your room and into the next, growing tense from the attention. With your back turned to the pair, you didn't see the small bolts of electricity that suddenly covered Kaminari's arm, and with your attention focused on the crowded room, you didn't hear Kirishima's following yelp at being shocked. "Really, dude? I didn't even have time to harden," Kirishima sulked, letting Kaminari loose and rubbing at his chest where he was shocked. "Sorry, but you deserved it." Kaminari shoved Kirishima away, looking at your back as you laughed, attempting to get your friends to move on, obviously flustered at the attention you were receiving. Kaminari couldn't help the thought that if you were his, you'd have to get over that, because he was sure he would never stop giving you all of the attention in the world. "Dude?" Kirishima raised an eyebrow at Kaminari, as small charges of electricity covered his body yet again. "Huh? Oh!" Kaminari snapped out of his thoughts, and beyond embarrassed that they had gone there, sending his friend a sheepish smile before stepping closer to you and poking his head in the doorway next to your frame. "My room is next, right? It's just above listeners." "Oh, yeah, you're right." Mina jumped up from her place on your bed, happily skipping to where Kaminari stood and grabbing his wrist. "Let's go then." The group followed the pair, as Mina dragged Kaminari to his room. He opened the door without much ceremony, allowing everyone to file in. "So gaudy," Kirishima commented, pushing past Kaminari to get a better look. "Yeah, it's like you threw everything in you saw," Mina added, also walking further into his room. "Really? I thought it looked nice." Kaminari frowned slightly at his friend's responses, taking a quick look around his room. "I think it looks fine," he assured, following Mina and watching the rest of your classmates chatted aimlessly around you. "It's not too fancy, but that's not a bad thing." You shot him a smile before turning to Mina to ask her a question, missing Kaminari's flowing blush. After everyone chose a winner, the entire class was sitting in the common room, chatting happily. Slightly awkward, Kaminari sat himself down next to you, still sulking at his loss. You nudged him slightly, sending him a smile when he looked at you. "Don't be upset," you told him, causing him to smile easily at you. "I won't be. It's just I thought it would have been really cool to win," he admitted, although I guess people didn't like my room anyway. You shrugged, leaning forward to grab your tea from the coffee table in front of you. "I didn't think it was bad, plus, it just looked like your room was full of things you enjoy, right?" At Kaminari's nod, you settled back against the couch again, cradling the warm mug against your chest. "Then that's pretty cool, at least I think, and you shouldn't be too upset about losing then." "Yeah, I guess so," he admitted, watching you closely for a second before blinking suddenly and clearing his throat. "Where do you get the tea?" "Oh, Momo made it for me. She brought a whole bunch of tea with her, and when we asked her why, she admitted that she drinks several cups a night." You shook your head playfully. "She also told us that she didn't think it was a lot and that her family would probably send more soon. That's crazy, isn't it? Anyway, she offered to make me some and said she's always more than happy to share. I'm sure you could have a cup if you wanted." "What type of tea is it?" Kaminari asked, thinking that stepping out for a second to make a cup of tea would probably be a good idea, because he was beginning to feel warmer and warmer with every excited smile you sent him. I don't remember. You trailed off, thinking for a second before shrugging. But it's good. Here, you want a taste? You held out your mug to him easily, and he took it without thinking, only to panic slightly. Why did he take the mug? And now he had to drink some, because it would look weird if he had just handed it back without trying it. He felt like his brain was frying, despite not having used his quirk. Nervously, he lifted the cup up to his lips and took a gentle sip, not even registering the taste before handing it back to you. Whoa, sharing drinks? You two sure are getting close, Mina teased as she made her way to sit down on the other side of you, nudging your shoulder playfully as an impressive blush took over your face. I was just letting him taste the tea that Momo made for me. It's not like that, I promise. You were stumbling over your words, the blush covering your cheeks, darkening by the second. Kaminari couldn't help but think he wanted to keep seeing you blush like that. He wanted to make you blush like that. He wanted to press his lips to your cheeks to feel if they were as warm as he imagined, and to see if they would darken even— Ow, you called faintly, rubbing your arm before letting out a small laugh. You just shocked me. Kaminari was already blushing at Mina's words and his own thoughts, but your sudden shout made his cheeks darken further. Oh, I did? Shit, I'm sorry. He reached forward as if to soothe your arm, but stopped himself. I didn't mean to, he told you, moving his hand to rub against the back of his neck instead, relaxing when you laughed again. I didn't think so. Are you okay? You asked, turning your body to face him more, and leaning against Mina, who was talking to someone on her phone. Shouldn't I be asking you that? He asked, noticing that Mina didn't seem to mind you, using her to support yourself as you faced him. Kaminari wanted you to be comfortable enough to lean against him like that, or to lay your legs across his lap, to touch him casually. I'm okay, you just gave me like a static shock, but you seem stuck in your thoughts today. You tilted your head to the side, pressing your lips to the rim of your mug, right where his were moments earlier, and took a sip. Oh, have I? Sorry. He shifted in his seat slightly, both uncomfortable with your attention and happy you noticed him. Happy that maybe you notice him in the way he notices you. You don't need to say sorry, just let me know if you need to talk. You sent him another smile that was impossibly bright. Look at this! Mina shoved her phone under your nose, starting to talk excitedly about some message she got as you reached up to grab her phone and read, sending Kaminari an apologetic smile before giving Mina your full attention. After a moment, Kaminari decided to leave, not wanting to catch himself staring at you. Head full of thoughts he was sure made him a pervert. With his head full, Kaminari didn't catch your eyes watching him as he walked away, nor the disappointed frown that you hid behind your mug. The room was dark, the couches barely visible in the faint light that the moon casted. Rain pounded heavily against the windows, and a slight chill plagued the air. You sat on the floor in front of one of the large windows, a blanket wrapped around your shoulders, your legs pulled up and tucked against your chest. Your eyes flashed as lightning struck, followed by a low rumble of thunder in the distance. You turned suddenly at the soft sound of footsteps coming down the stairs, eyes focusing and unfocusing in the faint light in your attempt to identify the person. A sudden flash of lightning, although startling enough to cause you to jump slightly, helped you discover who it was. Kaminari, you whispered into the empty air, slightly spinning on your butt to face him better, watching his shadow as he searched for your voice. Listener, where are you? He asked, voice louder than yours, cutting into the air, and yet not ruining the peaceful feeling in your chest that rain always brought. Down here. You lifted your hand for him to see where you were, and he made his way over to you, crouching down on the balls of his feet in front of you, sitting closer than he probably thought he was. Hi. Why are you awake? He asked after a moment, falling back first to his heels, then finally fully sitting. I could ask you the same, you responded, raising an eyebrow, despite knowing that he couldn't see it. But after half a beat, you shrugged. I like watching lightning storms when they happen. That's an interesting tradition, Kaminari said after a moment, enjoying just sitting in silence with you. Somehow, the darkness made it easier to look at you face to face. His heart felt less like it was going to explode. The possibility of grabbing your face and kissing you seemed more realistic. He felt braver. Not really a tradition, you admitted shyly. It's more so a recent thing. After a moment of silence, you became embarrassed at your words and forced yourself to focus on the pounding rain. But you're just sitting here alone, he asked after a moment, attempting to search your face in the dark, hoping against hope to read your expression some. As if the sky was listening to him, a flash of lightning crossed the sky, causing you to jump in place again. You nodded once the darkness returned, before clearing your throat. "Why are you awake?" you asked him. "I was just going to grab a snack. I couldn't sleep." He stood at this. "Actually, I'll be back." You watched him disappear into the kitchen before turning to face the window. You felt lonely now, despite feeling whole and complete alone a second ago. Kaminari returned not too long after, holding a bowl and a mug. You heard his steps as they walked closer to you and set the mug at your feet. After a moment and a questioning look from Kaminari, you picked up the mug. Immediately recognizing the smell of your favorite tea, a tentative sip revealed it was made just to your taste. The thought that Kaminari knew how you liked your tea made your chest warm. He stood above you awkwardly, not wanting to leave you alone, but also very aware, moments before, you were spending time alone and now he was intruding. But you were looking up at him and hadn't asked him to leave, plus he grabbed enough chips for 2 people without thinking. You knew that he was probably just waiting to go back to his room, have his snack before going to bed, but you didn't want him to leave. "You can stay, if you want," you said after a moment, looking away from Kaminari as you said it. Much quicker than he should have, he sat beside you, only stumbling once in haste. After a moment, you awkwardly lifted one corner of your blanket, heart pounding. "It's cold," you mumbled, refusing to look at him despite the cover of darkness. After a moment of silence, you slowly turned your head to face him. "You'll get sick." Kaminari could hear his blood rushing through his ears as he scooted closer and accepted the blanket. He had to sit close enough that his thigh was pressed against yours. He told himself that it was because he didn't want the blanket to slip from your other shoulder. Plus, he could lend some of his body heat to you, because, like you said, you could get sick. He told himself these things and 100 more, but he knew deep in his gut he wasn't doing it because... Holy shit! You were so close to him and he could hear your breathing, and you were leaning against him, so lightly he wasn't sure if you knew you were doing it. You two sat in silence while Kaminari built up his courage to talk. "Can I ask you why this new habit started?" he said, before realizing he had spoken like the previous conversation hadn't stopped. He shifted in place slightly before clearing his throat. "I mean, you said it was more of a recent thing, not a tradition. Is there a reason why?" "Yeah," he whispered, hoping the darkness would give you the courage to say what you wanted to say. You turned your head to look at him, another strike of lightning outlining his profile, which you barely caught as you jumped. "I actually am kinda scared of storms." "I can tell," he said with a small chuckle. "Are you trying to get over that fear?" "No," he faced forward again, letting your word linger despite knowing that Kaminari was probably confused beside you. "The lightning reminds me of someone," you said slowly after a moment. Your chest tightened in hope he would realize what you were implying, but he only continued to play with the corner of the blanket in between his fingers. Slowly, you leaned your head against his shoulder, feeling the tug of sleep playing with your eyelids. You could hear Kaminari's breathing as you two sat in silence, only broken by the soft crunch of chips occasionally. Kaminari heard your breathing slow, and he knew you were asleep. He couldn't fight the feeling that this felt right in every way. He wanted you to fall asleep next to him daily. He also couldn't help the bubble of hope that grew in his chest at the implication that you watched lightning storms just because they reminded you of him. Kaminari felt the usual tug in his stomach, the softness pooling there as he thought of you, and he fought to keep his quirk under control. He wanted you to stay asleep. After an hour, the rain slowed, then stopped. You woke up to the lack of sound, the darkness telling you that you hadn't been asleep for long. You realized that you were still leaning against Kaminari, and that he had put his arm behind you for you to lean on. You slowly sat up, afraid to wake him if he was asleep. Kaminari turned to look at you with your movement, afraid that for a moment you were slipping again, but his eyes widened slightly, seeing that you were awake. "I'm so sorry for falling asleep," you told him suddenly, blush overtaking your face. "I don't mind," Kaminari admitted before catching himself and coughing. You were tired, that's all. It's okay." "Thank you for staying with me, Kaminari," you whispered, still facing him. "You don't have to be so formal," he mumbled, lifting his arm up from behind you to rub at the back of his neck. "You can call me Denki or something else." "Oh, okay. Thank you, Denki." You rolled his name in your mouth. It felt right, and you smiled. "You can call me by my first name, too." He smiled widely at this, a faint blush covering his cheeks. You could barely make out his face in the darkness, but the little you saw made your heart pound. You two stayed there until the first rays of sun made themselves known, talking and sitting comfortably. Alright, so that's the end of this one. I hope you enjoyed. If you're in the live chat, say thank you to the moderators. Music link, fanfic link, Discord link, and thumbnail art link will all be in the description. If you were put in timeout or one of your messages got deleted in the live chat, check the rules in the description. Anyways, I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, whatever, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye!